If Marcus Aurelius had $1 for every time he politely declined something that didn't serve his purpose, he could have bought Twitter, renamed it Scroll Less, and blocked half of Rome. The truth is, saying no is one of the most powerful tools in Stoicism. Yet most of us would rather say yes and suffer in silence than risk disappointing someone. But here's the kicker. When you say yes to everything, you're actually saying no to yourself. And that's not stoic, that's self-sabotage. So if you've ever struggled with people-pleasing, overcommitting, or just not want to look like a jerk, this video is your roadmap out of that guilt trap. We're diving into the art of saying no without feeling guilty like a stoic emperor. Before we start, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and watch till the end, because this might just be the video that changes the way you live and set boundaries forever. Number 1, understand why you feel guilty. Saying no should be easy, right? But for most people, it feels like turning down a grandma's cookies. You know you should, but the guilt eats you before the sugar ever could. This guilt often stems from a fear of disappointing others, being perceived as selfish, or even losing relationships. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's in our control. And guess what? Other people's reactions aren't one of them. We've been conditioned to associate yes with kindness and no with rejection. But here's the truth bomb. No is not a rejection of the person. It's a protection of your peace. Epictetus reminded us that it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. If you view saying no as rude, then that's how it'll feel. But if you see it as self-respect, the guilt begins to fade. Here's a mental trick. Every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're saying no to something you do want, like rest, goals, or sanity. So who are you really betraying? Them or yourself? Respect goes both ways. If someone can't handle your boundaries, maybe it's not your no that's the problem, it's their entitlement. And let's be real for a moment. If your phone had limited battery life, you wouldn't waste it on apps you don't even use. So why drain your energy on obligations that don't align with your values? Guilt comes when we don't understand the value of our time. Once you do, saying no feels less like a sin and more like a strategy. Number 2, redefine what no actually means. Many people think no is a full stop, a shutdown, a slap in the face. But in Stoic fashion, let's reframe it. No doesn't mean I don't care. It means I care enough to be honest. It's not a wall, it's a gate. And you control who or what gets through. Seneca once wrote, "If you don't know to which port you're sailing, no wind is favorable." Saying no helps you steer your ship. There's a reason successful people guard their time like it's ancient treasure. They've realized that every yes must be earned. When you say no to things that don't serve you, you make space for what does. Think of it as pruning a tree, not because you hate the leaves, but because you want the fruit to grow stronger. Plus, let's be practical. People respect those who respect themselves. It's ironic, but the more often you say yes to avoid conflict, the less people take your time seriously. On the other hand, say no with grace and clarity, and you become the one who sets the tone, not the one always catching up to someone else's rhythm. Here's a little humor for you. Saying yes to everything is like trying to ride 5 horses with one saddle. It's chaotic, messy, and you'll probably fall off in the first minute. Your life isn't a rodeo. It's your arena. And no is how you choose which events make it to the schedule. Number 3, practice saying no gracefully. All right, here's the part where most people panic. But how do I actually say no without sounding like a jerk? The answer: be firm, be kind, and be clear. You don't owe people a 5-paragraph essay. You just need a solid sentence. Try, "I appreciate the offer, but I won't be able to commit right now." Short, polite, effective. You don't need to explain your entire life story. Over-explaining often signals uncertainty, and people sense it. The Stoics were masters of economy, in words and in emotion. So your no should be clean and drama-free. Think of it as minimalist communication, the IKEA of responses. Simple, efficient, and no emotional furniture to assemble. And don't forget, tone matters. Say it with a smile. Use warmth, not weakness. A gentle no, backed with inner confidence, is more powerful than a reluctant yes said through gritted teeth. Your energy introduces you before your words do. Channel Marcus Aurelius energy, calm, assured, and unbothered. Want a trick to sound even smoother? Use I don't instead of I can't. Example: I don't take meetings after 6 p.m. sounds like a personal standard. I can't meet after 6 sounds like an excuse. Subtle but powerful. It's like putting on armor made of language, stylish and strong. Number 4, create boundaries like a Stoic. Stoicism isn't about isolation. It's about prioritization. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire and still found time to reflect daily. You think he did that by saying yes to every dinner invite? Doubtful. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. They help you engage deeply with what matters, instead of skimming through everything with half a heart and a fake smile. Start by defining your non-negotiables. Time for rest. Time for work. Time for reflection. If someone's request threatens those, it's a no, or at least a not now. A Stoic doesn't react. They respond with intention. So don't rush into yes just to fill silence. Let your principles answer for you. Also, remember that saying no gets easier with practice. The first few times might feel like jumping into cold water, but soon you'll stop shivering and start swimming. Eventually, you'll even enjoy how refreshing it feels. Every no strengthens your inner fortress, brick by brick. And here's something you don't hear enough. People will adjust. Maybe not instantly, but they will. And if they don't, that's data. It shows you who values your well-being and who just values your availability. Boundaries don't break relationships, they reveal them. Number 5, build a life that doesn't require excuses. The ultimate goal? Creating a life where your values speak so clearly, you rarely need to say no, because people already know what you stand for. When your schedule reflects your purpose, and your energy reflects your priorities, saying no becomes second nature. No drama, no guilt, just clarity. Imagine being known as someone who's focused, grounded, and intentional. That's Stoicism in action. You don't have to justify your choices to everyone. You just have to live them fully. When your life aligns with your purpose, you radiate conviction, and people respect that. Also, let's be real, guilt is exhausting. It eats up energy you could be using to actually do the things you care about. Saying no isn't selfish. It's how you preserve your best self for the right moments. And that's not just wise. That's noble. So let's end with this thought. Every time you say no to what doesn't matter, you're saying yes to what does. Your peace, your goals, your freedom. The Stoics will be proud. And if anyone tries to guilt trip you, remember, you're not a tour guide for their expectations. Number 6, why people push your boundaries and how Stoics handle it. People often struggle to say no, not because they don't want to, but because others are very good at making them feel guilty for doing so. From your needy coworker to that cousin who always needs a small loan. People will test your boundaries simply because they can. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should expect the unexpected, especially from people. Not everyone respects your time, energy, or peace. If you don't guard your gates, someone else will gladly take over your calendar. Here's where it gets Stoic. Saying no isn't just self-defense. It's a declaration of self-ownership. Seneca would argue that wasting your time on what doesn't serve you is the real moral crime, not refusing a favor. You owe people your kindness, not your compliance. If someone is constantly overstepping, it's because you've trained them that it's okay. Saying no retrains them, and yourself, to respect your inner limits. The trick is in your delivery. You don't have to turn into a stone-faced Roman senator every time someone asks you for a favor. You can be firm and graceful. Say something like, "I'm focusing on other priorities right now," or "I'd love to help, but I can't take that on." That's not rejection, it's direction. And the right people will respect that. The wrong ones? Let them walk away. You're not losing support. You're filtering noise. Let's face it, If you keep saying yes to every request, you'll end up overworked, resentful, and silently wishing people would read your mind. Newsflash, they won't. You have to teach them. And as the Stoics would say, what you allow is what will continue. So if someone's making a career out of draining your energy, it's time to professionally ghost them with a no. Number 7, the guilt trap and how to climb out of it. Guilt is emotional quicksand. You say no, and suddenly your brain treats it like a crime scene. You replay the moment, overanalyze your tone, wonder if you offended them, and for what? For prioritizing your life. The Stoics taught that guilt comes from misjudging what's truly within your control. You can control your intent, not people's reactions. Once you grasp that, you'll breathe easier. Think of it this way. Every time you say yes to something you don't believe in, you're actually saying no to something that matters. Your goals, your time, your peace of mind. Seneca wasn't lying when he said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." Feeling guilty for protecting your priorities is like apologizing for locking your front door at night. You're not being selfish, you're being sane. One powerful way to escape the guilt trap is by practicing self-compassion. Before you hit yourself with that emotional hammer, ask, did I do this with integrity? Was I respectful? If yes, then the guilt doesn't belong to you. It's like picking up someone else's emotional baggage at the airport, confusing, heavy, and not yours to carry. Lastly, guilt thrives in silence. If you're constantly beating yourself up for saying no, talk it out with someone wise, or better yet, journal about it. Stoics were big on journaling. It helps you process emotions without letting them control you. Remember, guilt isn't a moral compass. It's just a noisy roommate who loves drama. Learn to turn down the volume. Number 8, how saying no increases your value. Let's flip the script. What if saying no actually increased your value? Sound weird, right? But think about the most respected people you know. Are they the ones who bend over backward for everyone? Probably not. They're the ones who protect their time, choose wisely, and show up powerfully because they said no to distractions. In Stoicism, this is called discipline, the foundation of greatness. By saying no to what doesn't align, you're clearing the runway for what does. Every no becomes an investment in your future. It's like compound interest, but for focus and purpose. Epictetus would remind us that we become what we practice. If we practice pleasing others, we become exhausted. If we practice clarity, we become respected. Which one sounds better to you? Now here's the funny part. When you start saying no with confidence, people actually start to respect you more. They stop treating you like a vending machine of favors and start seeing you as someone who values their energy. Your time becomes a rare currency, and people respect what's rare. You go from being everyone's plan B to becoming your own plan A. So, the next time you say no, do it knowing you're raising your value. You're protecting your energy, your time, and your mission. And that makes you magnetic. People are drawn to those who walk with intention. They want to know your secret. And it starts with 2 letters, N-O. Number 9, practical ways to say no without being a jerk. Okay, let's talk tactics. You know you need to say no. You want to say no, but how do you do it without sounding like a villain in a motivational TikTok? Easy. It's all about tone and timing. You can say no in a way that's kind, clear, and leaves 0 room for confusion. The Stoics weren't loud, they were precise. First, lead with appreciation. Acknowledge the person's request. Thanks for thinking of me, or I appreciate you asking. Then, draw your boundary. Unfortunately, I can't commit to that. You don't know an essay-long excuse. Clarity is king. Don't be vague like, maybe next time, if you know there won't be one. That just invites follow-up requests, and more awkward no's later. Second, practice neutral body language. Say it with a calm tone, gentle face, and confident posture. When your words and body say the same thing, people won't question you. If you look like you're about to crumble while saying no, they'll smell weakness and pounce. Stand firm like a philosopher facing a Roman Senate, not like someone returning soup at a diner. And third, remember this gem, no is a complete sentence. If someone tries to guilt trip you or push back, just repeat your boundary. Don't get pulled into the drama. You're not Netflix. You don't owe anyone entertainment. You owe them clarity and yourself peace. Stoics didn't argue their values. They lived them. Number 10. The Stoic legacy, becoming the architect of your life. When you say no from a place of calm strength, you're not just protecting your schedule. You're shaping your life. Every boundary you set is a blueprint for the life you want to live. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That includes fake yes, forced favors, and energy-draining obligations. Saying no is not a rejection of people. It's a commitment to purpose. The Stoics believed in living according to nature. Your nature is not to be a doormat. It's to be a disciplined, focused, intentional being. Every time you say no with grace, you're honoring that nature. You're becoming the architect, not the audience of your life. The result? More time, more peace, more energy for the people and projects that do matter. You become less reactive and more proactive. Life stops feeling like a series of random events you're dragged into and starts looking like something you designed on purpose. That's the Stoic legacy, intention over obligation. So as you move forward, practice the art of saying no like a philosopher, clear, calm, and unapologetically focused. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be aligned. The world will adjust. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to be free.